presents are the best way to show someone how much you care. It is like this tangible thing that you can point to and say, hey man, I love you, this many dollars worth.
Sitcom, all ye faithful, a Christmas podcast special where I discuss 25 Christmas sitcom episodes. Please come and listen every day until Christmas. I'm sure we'll feature Fonzie, the Bradys, and Steve Urkel, Dunder, Mifflin, Mayberry, and definitely Alf. We'll definitely talk about Alf.
Happy Christmas Eve, everybody, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Sitcom, Are Ye Faithful, where today I watched Season 2, Episode 10 of The Office from 2005, Christmas Party. You know, I've been working from home now since March 2020, so I guess in a few months it'll be fully 2 years of working from home. And as much as I enjoy like the ease of the home office, as much as I don't miss the commute into Boston, I do miss, seeing my coworkers and just kind of hanging out with them for a couple times a week, even if it's just a couple times a week, because I was working from home and doing remote already. But one thing I really, truly do miss is the yearly holiday Christmas party. They didn't have one at all last year, and there was going to be one this year. It was going to be partly indoors, partly outdoors. I wasn't going to make it anyway. And then that got canceled because we all know, things are not normal yet, obviously. So there hasn't been a Christmas party, holiday party, in a couple of years, but I truly do miss it. We would have it at the end of the workday. It wasn't a nighttime thing. You didn't stay late. I mean, you could stay late, but it was basically the last couple hours of the workday on a Friday, or it was usually the last Friday before break, or the last Friday, or the last day of work before the break. But I think it was usually on a Friday. And you'd go. It had open bar, all kinds of food, and loud music, and it was in this big conference room where basically the whole workplace would be there. People that you recognize, but you don't know their names. People that you don't recognize, but you email them all the time. And then you just you find a spot with your crew and you hang out there. I don't drink a lot, and that would be the one time where I'd go in and I'd pound down a few. And I remember leaving one day with some of my coworkers, and I fell asleep on the subway. Like, I was dozing off on the subway, and they all had to leave, and I was just like, oh, I'll be fine. Or the last time, a couple of years ago, I remember sitting on the subway going, ooh, I can feel it. Because I would go in quickly, pound a few drinks, and just kind of, loosen up a bit. And they used to be like, some years they had like, oh, this sushi and all this like live bands. And then later on it's it's a DJ and still great food, but it wasn't. And then the last few years it was themes, or like it wasn't even Christmas related. It would be like campfire or road trip, and they had all these different kinds of little stations for food and stuff. So I do miss that. And we didn't really have anything awkward happen. I think one time this one guy came up and like shook I'm pretty sure he shook my hand, and he might have hugged my coworkers. I don't remember if he hugged them or if he just kind of nodded to them. I forget. And they were two females, and they were like, "Oh, she shook your hand." And I said, "That's okay. I gave him the old chicken hands." Not realizing that that would become like a staple of something. I was eating all these chicken wings, so I had grease all over my hands from chicken. And so I shook his hand, and I told him I gave him the old chicken hands. And that's become, this is going on years ago. And that's become kind of a thing. It's like if for lack of a better term, an office meme, the old chicken hands. But nothing as awkward as what I saw today on the 2005 episode of The Office. We have had Yankee swaps, so there has been things where I've gotten a gift and then all of a sudden it was taken from me. One year there was a little waffle iron. I was so excited about it, and then someone took it, and I ended up with like a couple bottles of wine, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" I don't really drink, and those were promptly regifted. But nothing to the point where people's feelings were hurt, like Michael Scott did at Dunder Mifflin in today's episode. This is early on. This is still season 2 of the show. That is like, I remember watching it early on. Now, 2005 at the time, my wife and I were living in Florida, and I remember saying, "There's this show. I think we should watch it." I think I watched 1 or 2 without her. And it was one of those things where I think we started watching it right away. Maybe we had to go back and buy the first season on DVD. But I got her hooked. We were hooked, and that became our show, for years. One of our shows. I don't think she stuck with it towards the end. I stayed with The Office all the way all the way through. Michael Scott leaving, then James Spader coming in, James Spader leaving, Andy taking over. I feel like the Andy taking over was better than the James Spader season. And even though it wasn't as good. It lost some of its luster with me towards the end. It was still a good show, and I still loved the ending. There wasn't one season where they made it seem like Pam and Jim were having marital problems. I hated that. That bothered me. And here we are in this episode. I'm not going to focus on the whole thing of The Office, but The Office, just the thought of it always makes me think of 2005, living in Florida, not knowing really. I was working from home then too. Same job, just remotely. But not knowing many people. We had some family down there, and that was it. So mostly my best friend was TV, namely whatever was on TV at the time, catching up on The Sopranos, catching up on Smallville. That was my life in Florida. So The Office just makes me think of that and watching it with my wife. This episode's from season 2, and we see, at least, I don't remember season 1 exactly how much Michael Scott we see as far as who he becomes. Because I remember early on, he was more of a jerk. He was kind of a jerk, and then he became more lovable, more stupid, more needy, more wanting to be loved. And you see a lot of that in this episode, where he does do some real jerky things, but there's still that underlying self-conscious self-confidence that he wants to be loved and he wants to be included. So it's the Christmas party time of year. Him and Dwight bring in this tree, and of course the tree's too big, so that's pretty funny. We get the classic Jim looking right in the camera, and he's all excited because it's going to be the Christmas party. We have Angela is the party planning committee, and she's obviously real rigid and real stiff about it. Also on the committee is Pam and Phyllis and Ryan. And Michael comes in dressed in a beard and a Santa hat, and he goes, "Ho, ho, ho!" And he points at Phyllis, Angela, and Pam, and goes, "Ho, ho, ho, pimp!" when he points at Ryan. So he's calling all of them hoes, and it's hilarious. And I'm just like, how does a boss even get away with this? Never mind an employee get away with this. Now I know I guess you could say it's 16 years ago, but it's not that long ago that any of this would actually be, allowed. But he's all excited about the planning committee. He wants to go all out. He wants to, they're like, we're getting this many plates. It's like, double everything. We're going to partay. Pam's like, we can't have booze, right? He's like, I know. So stupid. Corporate bigwigs. He goes, we'll get coffee. That's a stimulant. We'll get coffee. I want lampshades on heads. I want people making out. I want parties. And he's running away. He's like, yeah. He's all excited about the party. And he says, I got a bonus check. He goes, it was a tough year. He threw some money down. Then he goes, it was a tough year. I had a fire. I forget what the guy's name was. It Devin? I had to fire a guy. And he's like, and then I got a Christmas bonus of $3,000 for saving the company money. He goes, so good did come out of firing him. Maybe I should call him and tell him that. Like he's going the lack of self-awareness of maybe I should call him and tell him that, firing him ended up really saving the company money. And I got a $3,000 bonus. So I thought that was just... I remember this guy I used to work with a million years ago said Michael Scott, it might be the greatest, Steve Carell might be the greatest actor on television. And he was because here's the thing that Steve Carell does with Michael Scott. He makes him so genuine. That's why I always thought about him. He's so genuine. He's genuinely he wears his heart on his sleeve. You can see that he's, he believes in what he's saying, even if it sounds dopey. Talking about, he talked about giving, how giving is so great, but getting is even better. He talked about, that gifts are so great because he puts a monetary value on what people feel about you. So that's why he said that's why gift certificates are so popular, because you can say, this is how I care this much about you, exactly this much about you. And then later he says, I got the best gift for someone, and I love seeing the look in other people's faces when someone opens a gift that you got somebody else, and the jealousy, they're envious of the gift that you got for someone. That's what Christmas is all about. He was, his normal self, but then he does go full like dick, and it's all around Phyllis's gift. So the party goes on through the night, but the beginning of the party is the Secret Santa, and everyone has someone for Secret Santa. Jim got Pam, so he got her something pretty personal. He got her a tea kettle that he wanted. He put in little things like a picture of him that she laughed at, a hot sauce packet, like all these little inside jokes that you can tell he cares and thinks about everything about her so much. And then a card. He goes, now's it's a time of year to tell people how you feel. So he's going to give that to Pam. So the gifts are going along. People are opening different things, and then Michael makes a comment like, you can't wait to see what I did. Oh no, he says to Jim earlier, he goes, so who'd you get? He's like, I can't tell you. He's like, otherwise it's a secret. He's like, oh, okay. He goes, well, all I know is the gift I got is pretty nice. I think it's going to be a pretty big deal. And Jim's like, well, it's a $20 limit, right? He goes, well, it was a good year. I went above and beyond. So it's pretty exciting. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, who I got? He goes, no, I don't want to know. He goes, it's Ryan. I got Ryan. So as the gifts are opening, everyone's kind of, oh, thank you for this gift. Thank you for that gift. Oscar got a shower radio from Kelly. And then Ryan opens his gift up, and it's an iPod. He's like, oh my God, an iPod. He's like, oh, hey, oh. He goes, who got this? He's like, I don't know. He goes, Mike. He goes, it's for me. Hey, it does. I know there's a limit, but it doesn't matter. He goes, it's Michael. It's a $20 limit. You paid. This was $400. He goes, how do you know? He goes, you left the gift on. You left the tag on. He goes, oh, I did. Oh, well. Anyway, it's it's the thought that matters. And they keep going on. He's all excited about opening gifts, and everyone opening his gifts. Then he opens his gifts, and it's a oven glove. Like a cooking glove, whatever you call those things, an oven mitt. And he's like, what? An oven mitt? And Phyllis is like, I knitted it myself. And he gets so pissed and he storms out of the room. And they're all kind of like awkward. They're like, do we keep going? He has his little moment in the camera. He's like, I get Ryan an iPod and this is what I get, an oven mitt. Like you could see what a D-bag. He comes back in and he goes, change of plans. We're going to do a Yankee swap now. And it's a Yankee swap because he doesn't want his gift. He wants someone to take the oven. This is all for him, someone to take the oven mitt and for him to get something else. So he, the whole time he's kind of like, hey, ooh. He's like waving the oven mitt. Okay, time for you to take your gift. You can choose this. You can choose the oven mitt. You can choose, everyone's choosing different things. And he's like, you can see Phyllis is upset about it. And then finally, people are trading the iPod left and right. Pam even wants the iPod. So she doesn't even get to see what's inside the gift that Jim got her. So he's, Jim's all upset about that. And then finally, Phyllis takes the oven mitt and Mike goes, ha ha, sucker. And he explains to us later in his office what reverse psychology is and how it works to get people to do dumb things. And Phyllis, he goes, I wanted you to pick that. And Phyllis is pissed off and leaves the room. He's like, what is she so mad about? And then they finally speak up and Pam's like, maybe because you don't like her gift and you're so mean about it. It's like, what? They're like, yeah, maybe because you did this and because you went above and beyond. He goes, I thought I was doing a good thing. He goes, I got a Christmas bonus. They're like, wait, you got a Christmas bonus? He's like, yeah. And they find out $3,000. They are done. They don't want to deal with the party anymore. And then, so they're like, okay, well, the parties keep going. They're done with the Yankee swap. Then he goes off to the liquor store and buys 15 bottles of vodka. And even though they're not drinking, he doesn't care. He brings it back. He's like, we are drinking. Let's have a party. He doesn't force them to drink, but he gets them to drink. And everyone kind of loosens up and has a great party after that. And the gifts are kind of still being swapped. Kelly ends up kissing Dwight, and Angela freaks out and is breaking stuff. And I was like, season 2 already? They're laying seeds for Angela and Dwight. Roy's there, and he's like, he's like, oh, I'm so glad you got an iPod, Pam. I was going to buy you one. Now I don't have to. So I'll buy you a sweater or something. And you can see Jim's just like down in the dumps about it. Then later we do see that Pam's like, Roy is going to buy me an iPod. So she traded her gift with Dwight, who was going to use the pot to clear his sinuses, pour it up his nose. And she traded it with Dwight, and she's like, I feel like you went through a lot to get this for me, so I thought it'd be nice. And Jim's like, oh, thanks. She opens the gifts and sees all the things inside, and while she's not looking, he takes the card and puts it in her pocket because he's not ready to tell her how he feels. And it's funny, Dwight says to Michael, he's like, this is a great gift. You got the iPod. And Michael's like, I wanted it for Ryan, but if I couldn't have it for Ryan, I'm glad it went to you. And Dwight's all smiles, almost like he appreciates the gift that Michael got him. When Michael did not get him this gift, he got it only because Pam traded it. But he's like thanking Michael for it, which I thought was funny. We do find out that Oscar didn't want the shower radio, and he says later, goes, she had me last year and she got me the same exact gift. I only have one shower, so already has a shower radio. So I thought that was funny. Angela ends up with this. There's a joke with her. She likes posters of babies doing adult things, and it was Toby who bought it. And he's like, I was very uncomfortable buying this at the store, which I thought was funny. I'm trying to think what else was going on. They're all drinking. Then Todd Packer shows up, David Koechner, and he's he's got mistletoe on his crotch. All these things that you just really can't do at work, they're doing. Ryan ended up with Creed's shirt. That was Creed went through his closet, gave a shirt that ended up with Jim. Now it ended up with Ryan. He's like, I'll just give it to someone a homeless guy. And Kevin was the DJ. He's like, I'm the DJ because I know how to really get a party going. And it's funny. Oscar says, what did you end up with to Creed? And I think Creed's like, I ended up with the shower radio, which is what Oscar had. He goes, I used to have a radio show. He's like, really? What was your DJ name? He's like, Wacky Weed Creed. And that's when he's like, Creed is actually a pretty interesting guy, and the real Creed is a real interesting guy, and his name is Creed. I remember, wasn't there someone? I used to have a joke calendar on my wall with office quotes, and I kept one on my computer, and it was like, didn't he say like, I've only killed one man, and that man's name was Creed? Creed, like some joke where he assumed some man's identity. It was one of the greatest Creed lines ever. I forget exactly what it was, but it's like I've only done something to one man, right? And that man's name was Creed. I love that. But he was like a real-time musician. He might have been a radio guy too. That might have been real. But he was like a real musician forever, and like his name is Creed. Trying to think what else to talk about in this episode. You know, it's funny. Like, I don't watch The Office. Like, I watched every episode, but I don't go back and watch it. I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna. When it was on Netflix, I never watched it. When it's on Comedy Central, sometimes like flipping by, and all of a sudden you catch it. And I'm like, oh, I'll watch a few episodes of this, or it's on. Like, I remember it being like a marathon, and all of a sudden my wife would watch it, and we'd watch it together, a couple episodes. But I never sit down at Netflix and put one on. Or now it's Peacock. I went to Peacock to watch it today, and I never just go put it on. But it's one of those shows where it's like, every time I do, I enjoy it. Even though there's cringy moments, there's laugh out loud moments, and there's heartwarming moments. That's the great thing of these shows. They have the moments where you go, ugh. But then they have these moments where you can just see the heart is kind of in the right place. Like at the end, we see Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration show up. That was a funny joke. Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration. Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration. Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration. Oh, what kind of work do you do, Bob Vance? So at the end, they're going to do an after party at Chili's, but Pam's like, we can't go. We got kicked. We got lifetime ban. So they're like, let's go to Poor Richard's. And I remember Poor Richard's was kind of the place was their go-to bar, Poor Richard's. And they're like, yeah, let's go. And he said to Michael, you want to go? And you could see the look on his face. He makes just this one look like, yeah, like I'm included. You want me to go? Really? And that's when you realize that he's not the bad guy. You know, he's just his heart's in the right place. He just makes poor social choices sometimes. He did it. We kind of, that's what she said, going around taking pictures of everything. And then at the very end, he's talking about how great Christmas is. Everyone's outside getting ready to leave. There's a snowball fight. He's in his office. He's about to leave. Meredith comes in. He's like, you ready to go? Turns around. She takes her top off. She's completely topless. He looks at her and he's like, snaps a picture and then walks right out. I was like, all right, you got a coat? Come on, let's go. And just leaves. And that's the end of the episode. So good. Such a classic. Really, like, I don't remember other Christmas episodes. That's the thing. I feel like there definitely are other ones. I remember there's one where Dwight dresses up as some kind of Christmas, like, folklore elf demon. I don't know what it was, like some kind of creature. But other than that, this was always the one I think of. So I wonder if there's other ones that are worth watching down the road. I'm sure there are. Down the road, by that I mean next year. Because, folks, we only have one day left. The day that all of this is leading up to. The day that all of this is for. This whole season is for one day. You know, summer is a season. You just have summer. But Halloween, Thanksgiving, it's kind of a funny thing that at the end of our years, we have like 3 seasons that we lead up to. We have Halloween, where we dress up, we focus on things that are scary and all kinds of candy. Then we have the Thanksgiving season, which is kind of, it's not quite a full season because you don't really decorate. I mean, you could do some things with pilgrims and turkeys and stuff, but it's more about gearing up towards the day. There might be specials on TV, but really, Thanksgiving is kind of just like you're getting ready. It's coming. Once Thanksgiving hits, boom, Santa shows up at the Macy's Day Parade, and then boom, you're in the Christmas season. And then Christmas comes around, and I like to think of it as you get a couple days of November, then 25 days of December, all focused on Christmas, all focused to that one day. And then just like that, boom, it's over. Maybe you take some of the decorations down. Maybe you leave them up till the new year. Then it's kind of like you're off the Christmas high. You're still there because you're on vacation now. And then it's the end of the year, boom, and then it's back to reality. And you're gearing towards, for me, you're gearing towards a couple months later, I got my wife's birthday. A couple days later after that, you got Valentine's Day. A couple months after that, we got our anniversary. And then I'm good for the year until Christmas comes around again. But wow, it's just, I'm going through my whole year. I'm just thrilled that I did this because it gets me in the Christmas season and it brings back so many memories of so many shows. It's not like movie month where I'm watching things that I've never seen before. It's a mission where I'm going to do it every single day. Like it's a project, where this is just kind of like, I go at my own pace. Maybe I'll do 2 episodes in a day. Maybe I'll do one the day of, but I've been doing them the day before most of the time. But for you, it's Christmas Eve right now. So it's just been a blast doing this. And I'm so thrilled that I've looked at a chunk of shows. I'm like, I didn't do any of these shows. And that's what next year's for, to find some new shows that I haven't watched, revisit some other episodes of some of the great shows that I've already talked about, and just kind of talk with my friends, talk with my cousins again, and just get into the Christmas spirit. Because this isn't a one-time project. This is a new tradition. And I am psyched that I mentioned this, I think, back in January. If you go to the hashtag Sitcom All Ye Faithful on Twitter, I think it was like January 1st that I said I'm going to do this. My plan originally was to record throughout the year, get 5 done here, 5, boom, maybe do them in August, do a couple in September, not to do them during Christmas and then release them. But as much as I wanted to do them in advance, I think doing it this way was better because it is the Christmas season, and doing this and watching the shows are getting me into Christmas instead of doing them early on and just releasing them later. I mean, I'm not going to listen to them all the way through every time because I lived them already. So I like doing them in December, a couple here, a couple there, and it's just been a blast. But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. We have one more day, the big day, as I said. So until then, my friends, until tomorrow, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for subscribing. I want to thank you for following me on Instagram at Geek Mentality, following me on Twitter at Geek Mentality, following the website on Facebook at Fans Not Experts, going to the website fansnotexperts.com, and of course, I want to thank you for listening. Until tomorrow, the big day, enjoy Christmas Eve, be safe, have fun, sit around the fire with this playing on the radio, and everybody, get to bed early, because Santa's coming. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, Merry Christmas, and here is my theme song.
This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.